let's go. I want to talk about what's happening at the EEOC.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, folks, in case you were wondering, we are been talking a little bit about, making the workplace better, been talking about what companies are maybe doing to maybe not make the workplace better in some regards. But that's what we do. We report on all aspects so that you can decide what you want to do. I am excited, John, to know about the EEOC now, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And, we've covered a strange job market right now. And, people are leaving the workforce. Okay.
Right.
And there are shrinking benefits. So that's where we've been. Now we are going to start cheering everyone up, right, John? Or how do we cheer everyone up?
Oh, that's easy, Chuck. Federal enforcement priorities.
Of course, nothing says cheer up like federal enforcement priorities. John,
yes,
the viewers, the listeners are chomping at the bit. Talk to us about the EEOC. What's going on?
All right, so the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, released a new national enforcement plan in June covering fiscal years 2025 through 2029.
Okay.
The plan signals a significant shift in emphasis. Right, we've talked about this. It provides a case involving intentional discrimination, including overtly discriminating job advertisements, hiring and advancement decisions, systematic harassing, mass denials of accommodations, and certain employment programs that consider race or sex. It also identifies religious accommodations, retaliation, protection for vulnerable workers, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, what the agency characterizes as anti-American national origin discrimination among its priorities.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of stuff. So let's break it down a little bit and tell me, as an HR professional, what do we do with that?
Run. I'm telling you, Chuck, just run. First, do not simply change the vocabulary and assume the risk is gone. Review the decisions, look at job advertisement, look at interview practices, candidate slates, internship, leadership development programs, mentorship, scholarships, employee groups, promotion, layoffs, and benefits. They were really getting into and changing really what is discrimination, right? They want you to eliminate or reduce or change the way you're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. We talked about this. You did this story about the Coca-Cola bottling plant up there in New England, where they had that big conference for women only, right? Mm-hmm. The EEO sued them. There's another case recently where it was interesting because the employee did not come to them, but the EEOC decided to jump in anyway. And so being aware of that. Ask whether access or treatment is being influenced by protected characteristics, and make sure managers understand, right? Managers understand that employment decisions should be grounded in legitimate job-related criteria and applied consistency.
Yeah, so it's more than just deleting the word diversity from the website.
Right, yeah. Let's just get rid of that word. No, a website edit does not fix a discriminatory decision process, and removing every reference to inclusion does not create fairness either. The objective should be to create an employment system which people are evaluated individually and consistently while maintaining a workplace where people can contribute and belong.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I was talking with my cousin last week. We were all on this big family reunion trip, and she's working for a kind of a community loan fund. And she said they got rid of their diversity officer. Okay. She says they got, changed a lot of this stuff off their website and this and that. And I said, well, what's changed? And she said, well, really nothing. Our mission is still the same, to provide loans to economically disadvantaged populations. Okay. So I don't know, it's interesting that we read all this stuff, but she did say we had to take some of this off the website too, because if not, we were not going to be able to get any federal funds to help with our mission. So, I thought of that as we were just talking about this, but I do know the EEOC made another major move this past week.
Yeah, right. The commission voted to begin the rulemaking process to eliminate EEO 1 and related demographic reporting requirements. Currently, many employers with at least 100 employees and certain federal contractors with at least 50 submit annual workforce information organized by job category, race, ethnicity, and sex. The proposal would end those reporting requirements and certain associated record keeping requirements, but this is important. It is a proposal and not immediate elimination of the current obligation. So don't go, okay, I don't need to do it. Employers should continue following existing requirements while the rulemaking process moves forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can already hear someone saying, good news, we never have to do the EEO1 again. I know that a lot of your large software, ADP, Paycor, um, Kronos, a lot of those, they accrue, a lot of the recruiting softwares, they accrue that stuff, and that helps, and they actually will file these reports for you. But I can imagine if you don't have that, it is kind of a pain in the butt to do that. But I can hear someone saying, good news, we never have to do it again.
Yeah, and I was not only we're hearing that, but I was on a Facebook group today, and somebody asked, "So, what do you think about this?" And it was really interesting. A lot of people were like, "Oh, thank goodness! It took so much time, so much effort." Boom. And then on the other side, they were like, "Well, but it is important. We want to make sure we have that information, and you may need it by state. You may need it for other regulatory things. So I would be very careful before you go, not going to worry about it anymore. I would definitely talk about it. What do you need it for? Why are we doing it? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes though, I got to wonder what, it's a report. It reminds me of look, I will tell you, I'm in the camp. I would be in the camp of, thank goodness it's something else we don't have to do. If it wasn't being done automatically, because to me, it reminds me of the show Office Space, the movie, and where they had to file the TPS reports, and they don't know what they're filing, why they're filing it, where it's going, and so I can't think of any time in my entire career where all that information we've gathered in any company, large and small, and we've sent it off outside of maybe news headlines or just kind of an interesting, oh, look, maybe we're doing this, or the industry is doing this, or the state, unless we truly had like an affirmative action program where we were saying, oh my gosh, we're low here, we're that sort of thing.
Right.
But anyways, I guess you can remove a report, right? But what I'm getting at is, but not remove those underlying responsibilities, correct?
Yeah, and I think compliance and good leadership overlap, but they're not identical, right? And so, yes, the law tells us our minimum boundaries. Leadership asks, what kind of workplace are we choosing to build inside the boundaries? And I think for me, it's about awareness. I agree with you. I think if it's a lot of work and you're spending a lot of time on it, there's better places to send our priorities. But if we have the opportunity, if we're getting that information from somewhere, we should use it as just a temperature check. How are we doing? Does it make sense? And what are we doing? Has things changed over a long period of time? What's changed? That's the way I would use it. I would use it as sort of a barometer to just check. Are things changing? Am I noticing things differently? And what should I contribute that to?
Yeah. So, okay, great conversation. Now, we've talked the last couple of conversations about a variety of things. And today, kind of, I guess we're going to wind it up. I want to talk a little bit about the Department of Labor. So meanwhile, at the Department of Labor, another federal institution, right?
Yes, the alphabet soup.
Yeah. So do we have
so
room for more alphabet soup?
You were talking about this at the top, and I think it's important, and I hadn't really been paying attention to this until I saw these pop up. So the Department of Labor is now issuing opinion letters. So if you don't know, they'll get an email from somebody or correspondence from somebody, and they'll read it, and they'll go, okay, we're going to put an opinion letter out because probably other people have questions about this. And so they stopped doing that for a while, and now they're back doing it. And so they issued 2 new opinion letters addressing how the Fair Labor Standard Act applies when employees work partly at home and partly elsewhere. One addresses whether travel between home and the employee's office during the day is compensatable. And then the other concerns a field service employee who receives an assignment, calls customers, schedules work, preparing to drive, or why driving to that first appointment.
Okay, so does my workday begin when I open my laptop conversation? And that's what we're going for now with the government.
Yeah, the federal government's jumped into this conversation.
Yeah.
And the answer, as with most wage and hour question, Chuck, it's your favorite phrase. Say it.
Yes, it depends.
Yeah,
it depends.
All right, depends on what you're doing. In the field service example, merely receiving brief pages or assignment was considered incidental and generally not compensatable under the circumstances described. But calling clients to schedule appointments and coordinate other engineers was compensatable because those activities were integral to the employee's principal work. And when substantial work is required during the commute, the travel itself could be compensatable.
Yeah. So, okay. So then I guess, hey, I'm getting some notifications, some text messages. Hey, here's your assignments for today. That sort of thing. Those are incidental. So I don't need to be paid the minute the beep, beep, beep. I get a text message. Okay, do this when you clock in, right? Okay. So basically everything you said, it sounds to me, it means employers need more than a policy saying, do not, like if they have a policy that says, do not work before 8, but they need a little bit more of a policy now.
Yeah,
correct?
they need a system that allows employees to record all the time. All time worked, right? My favorite conversation is hours worked. I love that conversation. But anyway, managers need to understand sending a message before the scheduled start time does not magically make the employee's response non-work.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right? And hybrid arrangements need clear expectations about when the workday begins, what employees are expected to do while traveling, and how they report their time. It makes me a little worried if they're driving and the company's asking them to respond. That could be a bigger problem.
Sure. So this is one of those issues where a 5-minute task performed by one employee does not sound significant.
Until it happens every morning across hundreds of employees over
yes,
years, right?
Yes. Then it becomes the press release, right?
Yeah, and the state laws may be more protective than federal laws. So this is an area where HR should work with the employment counsel, lawyer, rather than take one federal opinion letter and apply it to every situation.
Yeah. All right. So what are all these stories telling us today, John?
Well, we promised that there would not be one grand theme, right? I think we promised that, and I'm going to say we honored that promise.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you.
But there's a question running underneath several of these stories. What happens when an organization make employment decisions based only on the power they possess today?
Yeah, applicants have fewer choices, so the hiring process becomes less responsive. Employees are less likely to leave, so benefits become easier to cut. These are trends, right? These are trends that you've read about. Managers are under pressure, so policies become broader and less flexible, I guess.
And none of these decisions may create an immediate crisis, right? Everything's terrible. But people keep applying, employee remain, work continues. The danger appears down the road later in trust, reputation, engagement, lost talent, and the employees who quietly decide to contribute less. Mm-hmm. Right? And so they're leaving the labor force, right? Completely because the conditions of employment no longer fit their realities. Employers are navigating real challenges. They have cost control. People need to work, receiving an enormous number of applications. They are trying to understand change in technology, change in regulation. This is not a story which every employer is the villain and every employee is the victim.
Yeah. So the last question may be uncomfortable.
The useful ones usually are.
Yeah. So what should HR professionals take away from today's workplace junk drawer?
Clean up the hiring process. Pay attention to why people are leaving or never entering the workforce. Right? Do the stay interviews. Treat benefit changes as workforce decisions, not merely financial adjustments. Review employment practices in light of the EEOC's changing priorities. And make sure your timekeeping practice reflect how people actually work, especially in hybrid and field-based roles.
Yeah. And check the junk drawer occasionally.
Yes, those batteries have been dead since 2018, Chuck.
Yeah, I was keeping them for historical purposes, maybe. I don't know.
This has been HR Stories, What Makes Work Better.
For now, have a great week.